Hey guys, Mr. D Flip is here. Today we're going to be doing lesson, I believe it's 9.4 in our Unit 9 math book. So we are actually going to be talking about money today. And money has decimals, so that's why we've waited until chapter 9 to really focus on money. So before we start anything, it's important for you guys to know that this lesson is not reviewing the different types of coins. um, at this point in fourth grade, we're hoping that you guys know the coins. So if you still have trouble with that, a tip I would do, or I would suggest, is to go on to IXL for fourth grade, and there is a counting money option. That's a really good thing for you to do to practice counting your money. Um, and that'll go over quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies, dollars, all of that. But this whole lesson there's two parts to it. The first part is to write money amount in terms of the money amount, the fraction or mixed number, or just the decimal. So write it three different ways. That's the first part. The second part is going to be word problems. Okay. And you might have to divide money up, you might have to subtract money. So we're going to look at a few of those today. Okay. So we are actually not starting on the first page of this because I felt like it was important for everyone to start with this box, this purple box, which is on the bottom of page 514. All right. So let's start with this. And I feel like everyone should be watching this part at least. And then I don't even want to say it. So just watch the whole video because it's going to be valuable either way. All right. So it says complete the table to show how money, fractions, mixed numbers, and decimals are all related. So I see there's four categories here. There's bills and coins, and bills are the dollars, the paper money. Coins would be the type of metal money that we use. The money amount, the fraction or the mixed number, and then the decimal. Okay. So if I'm looking at my first row here, I notice they give me two things. They give me the money amount and they give me the decimal. So I'm going to look at this and I'm going to think, all right, how much money is this? Well, to the left of the decimal, there's a zero, which means there's no whole here. And the whole, if we're talking about money, would be one whole dollar. There's no dollars. For tenths, which would be the dime, okay, because a dime is worth 10, that would be the smallest coin that we have. There's nothing. There's also a zero. And then for the hundredths place in our money amount, there's a 3, which hundredths in money would be talking about the copper penny, okay, which is the brown or copper coin that we use. Abraham Lincoln's on it. That is worth 1. But it's not really worth 1, it's worth 100th, because how many copper pennies do we need to make one whole dollar? We need 100. So we are taking what we learned last week in terms of tenths and hundredths, and now we're applying it to money. Okay? So they want us over here to write what that would equal in bills and coins. So if I have 3 cents, then I would have 3 pennies. Okay? All right, and they wrote it as a decimal too. And you can see the only difference here between the decimal and the money amount is the dollar sign for the money amount. It's literally the same thing except for there's no dollar sign for the decimal. All right, so how do I write this as a fraction or a mixed number? Well, first of all, I know it's not going to be a mixed number because there's no whole number here. So it's definitely going to be a fraction. So my numerator is going to be 3. Now the question is, what is my denominator? So think about money and my whole. Remember, my whole is always going to be my dollar. All right, so how much cents is in one whole dollar? So it'd be 3 over 100, or 3 100ths. And again, guys, look at your decimal. We would read this decimal as 3 hundredths. that also can help us know how to write it as a fraction. So 3/100. All right, this one, the next row, they give us the money amount and the fraction, and they don't give us the bills again, and now the decimal. All right, so I'm looking here, and again, 0 holes, and it looks like 25 cents. So, does anybody out there in quarantine land know what coin would represent 25 cents? Is anybody out there raising their hand? Let me see. Yes, a quarter. A quarter, 1 whole quarter equals 25 cents. So I'm going to write 1 quarter. I'm doing the best I can again with my writing. I feel like my space here on my desk is not the best in terms of how much freedom I have to move this mouse. All right, so 1 quarter is 25 cents. And again, for my fraction, we would read it as 25 out of 100. So 25 cents out of 100 cents. Or in simplest form, it would be 1/4. You don't have to do simplest form, but it is nice that they show us that 25 100ths in simplest form is 1/4. Now, how would I write this as a decimal? So if I'm reading my fraction 25 hundredths, I'm going to think about how I would write that as a decimal. Well, I have 0 holes, decimal point, and I would just write 25 hundredths. Again, it's very similar to the money amount and the decimal. The only difference is there's no dollar sign. All right. The third row is a little different because now they're giving us bills and coins. They're actually giving us 2 different types. So it says 2 quarters and 1 dime. All right. So I know that 1 quarter is 25. And if you remember back in probably December, I want to say, we learned about compatible numbers. And a compatible number is a number that's easy to do in your head mentally, right? It's a compatible number. So 25 is one of my favorite compatible numbers because I always think of quarters. And we talked about that when we learned about compatible numbers. So I can count by 25s, right? 2 quarters would be 25, 50. And then 1 dime to that. So 25.50, add a dime, which is 10 cents. 25.50, 60 cents. So I'm going to write that as a money amount. So I do my dollar sign. 0 holes, because again, I don't have a dollar yet. And 60 cents. Again, you guys can see here they wrote it as a fraction, which is 60 over 100. And in simplest form, that would be 6/10. And now we're going to write it as a decimal. So it will be the same as our money amount without our dollar sign. Okay? All right. Oh boy. Last row is a little different. Now we got 2. This is a little tricky to read. There's a dollar sign, 2 $1 bills and 5 nickels. So 2 $1 bills. So now what's my money amount going to be? So I know I'm going to do a dollar sign since we're talking about money in my money amount. I do have holes here because it says $1 $1 bills, and I have 2 of them. So I'm going to have 2 holes, decimal. Now 5 nickels. So a nickel, if we forget, is worth 5 cents, and I have 5 of them. So I can do this 2 ways, right? I can count by 5s 5 times, or I can think of 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is, you got it, 25. So that person has $2, and we still say the decimal, $2.25. All right, how would I write this as a fraction or mixed number? Well, since there's a hole, I'm going to big 2. That's my whole number. My numerator is going to be 25. And my denominator with money is always going to be 100. Always. When you're talking about money, that denominator will always be 100 because there's 100 cents to make up 1 whole dollar. So how do I write it as a decimal? Well, the same as I wrote it as my money amount, except for I'm not going to put the dollar sign. So it would read as 2 and 25 hundredths. Okay, so that's one part of the lesson, guys. Today you're going to have to write multiple ways the same thing. All right, so we have the bills and the coins, the money amount, fraction or mixed number, and the decimal. All right, so let's go. Let me see what I want to do right now. All right, let's go to the problem above this. Because here it says they want us to look at the coins. So again, we are assuming that we know our coins right now. They can be tricky, especially when they're in a book like this. I like being able, when we're in the class, I can give you guys actual, not real money, but plastic money, and you guys can look at it and help figure out what is what. All right, so it says shade the decimal model to show the money amount. Then write the money amount and a fraction in terms of dollars. Okay. So what I have here is a dime, which is 10. And for problems like this, I would recommend writing this down. All right. So that's the front of a dime, which is worth 10. Then I have a nickel, which a nickel is worth 5. And that's the front of the nickel. Then I have another nickel, but this time it's the back. So they're trying to get us confused. Something to help us though. Oh, sorry about that. It's a poor looking 5 there. Something to help us with that though. Look at the size. You can see that this nickel is the same size as this, whereas the dime is much smaller. All right, and the last coin I have would be the penny, which is 1 cent. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add these together. So I have 10 plus 5 is 15, plus 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21. So I want to now shade that to show that represented here in my model. So again, guys, this is my base 10 flat. There's 100 of these here. I'm going to shade in 21. So I'm going to go down 1 row of 10. You guys can shade better than I can right now. I'm going to go down 2 rows of 10. So that's 20. And then I'm going to do 21. All right. Now, they wrote the fraction because it says shade the decimal model. Just did that to show the money amount. Then write the money amount, which is going to be here, and a fraction, which they did for me. All right, so the money amount, that means I need a dollar sign. If I'm talking about money, it's an S with a line through it. Okay? So how many holes? Do I have any whole flats shaded in? I do not. So I'm going to put 0 for my whole. Decimal. 21 hundredths. Okay? Moving over to B. Now I have 1 whole dollar. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a dollar sign and 1. Okay, I want to put the dollar sign because that's letting me know I have a whole, okay, in terms of money. Then I have this big coin here. This is called my quarter. All right, and that's George Washington on the quarter, our first president. Okay, and then I have 2 dimes. Again, our dime is worth 10 cents, and this is both of these dimes are facing forward. And I believe the person on the dime, I'm pretty sure it's Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was also a president. He was a great president. And then last we have our penny, which is worth 1 cent. Okay, it's worth the least amount. All right, so now we're going to shade again to show. So I noticed in this one I have 2. So I'm going to start with my highest amount first. So what's my highest amount? My 1 whole dollar, which represents 100. So I'm going to shade in. You can do it like this, or you can shade the whole thing in. I'm doing it like this definitely because it's easier for me to do that right now. All right. So there's my 1 whole. Now I'm going to add all these up. So I have 25 plus 10 is 35. plus 10 is 45. Plus 1 is 46. All right, so let's shade that in. So I'm going for 46. So this is 10. There's 20. There's 30. And there's 40. And what did we say? 46, right? 25, 35, 45, 46. So I want 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So now I have my 1 whole and 46 hundredths. Here they wrote the dollar amount, and now I have to fill in this mixed number. So here's my 1 whole. I'm going to make it even bigger because it's smaller than I'd like it to be. The denominator is 100. It's always 100 with money. Numerator is going to be 46. Okay? All right. So that's that. Again, that's identifying the coins and the money. All right. So now let's look at a word problem, which is going to be on our first page. So I think that's 513. Let's go back. Oop, I went back too far. Page 513. All right. So it says, together, Julie and Sarah have $1. So $1 in quarters. They want to share the quarters equally. That's really important to know. All right, so that means both of these girls are going to have the same amount. All right, and they're going to share them. So that means they are going to be one person's getting some, the other person's getting the other. How many people are there? There's 2 people. We got Julie and Sarah. So Julie and Sarah, they have $1 in quarters. How many quarters should each, ran out of room on my mouse here. How many quarters should each girl get? That's our first question. So I'm going to put a number 1. Make sure I answer both. And how much money is this? That's question 2. So I have 2 questions here. I want to make sure I answer both. All right, so 2 questions. I do like this chart over here. It does give us kind of a reminder that 1 penny is 1 cent. Whoop, what am I doing? Sorry about that. 1 penny is 1 cent. 1 dime is 10 cents. 1 quarter is 25 cents. And $1 is 100 cents. So use that to help you. All right, so guys, here's my model. Here's the 4 quarters that the girls have. So we have to know, again, it doesn't say there's 4 quarters in the problem. So we have to know how many quarters are in $1. So they do tell us here. In this problem, this is going to be very helpful. So $1 would equal 100 cents, but each of these quarters is 25. So 25, 50, 75, 100 cents, or 1 whole dollar. All right, so what I like to do for this, guys, is I like to draw. So if I didn't have this model here, what I always tell my class to do is draw coins. And in the circle, write how much each coin is. So for this, I would write 25. And you try to make them the best you can, the same size. I don't get too crazy on that. As you can see, mine are not the same size. You want them to be the best you can. Try to be neat. Again, it's hard with this mouse. All right. So the reason I'm doing this right now is because you might get a problem where they don't give you this. So if they don't give you that, you're going to have to draw the quarters. All right. So what I'm going to do is I want to share them equally. So how many people do I have? I have 2 peeps. 2 people, Julie and Sarah. No, I'm not talking about the Easter candy. All right. So what I would do is I would circle and I would say, all right, Julie's going to get this much. And Sarah is going to get this much. Now, right now, Julie has 2 and Sarah has 2. That means they have an equal amount. They're the same amount. If that word equally was not there, then I could divide them up however I want. Julie could have 3, Sarah could have 1. Okay? But since that word equally is there, that's going to let me know that each girl has to have the same amount. So I'll show you here too. So there's Julie. There's Sarah. So each girl should get 2 quarters. That answers the first question. How many quarters should each girl get? Each girl gets 2 quarters. Or how much money is that? 25.50. So here's my dollar sign. They're not getting $1, so I'm putting 0. But each girl is getting 50 cents. Okay? So that's going to be really, really important that you pay attention to those words. Again, I love doing this lesson when we are together because I like you guys getting your hands on some money and you're able to manipulate it, move it around, and help each other. And it's a great partner activity. If you know that you struggle with money and your coins, then I strongly recommend you practicing some IXL. Again, if you need your username or password, shoot me a message, but you should all have that. All right? So practice your money amounts. Okay. So what you guys are going to do is, let me go to the problems that you're going to do today. So you guys are going to go to page 515. All right. And I want you to do, you're going to do 515, number 8 and number 9. Okay. And then you're also going to do on the next page, which is 516, number 21. Okay, which is a chart very similar to the first problem we did. All right, where you guys have to fill in the blanks for each row. All right, so 8 and 9 on page 515 and number 21 on page 516. What I need from you today is you can post it in the Flipgrid, or you could also send me photos through Dojo or email. All right, guys, get started, and I can't wait to see your work. All right, have a great day. See you soon, I hope.